My name is Enno. Some of you might know us from the recent years. We have been presenting both last editions on, say, related stuff. That means networking stuff. This is Oliver. Some of you might remember Daniel looking like a German Viking, so he's easily identifiable. Today we are going to present, and we changed the title of the talk compared to the one that's in the, say, official agenda. In the official agenda, that one sounds not too appealing, admitted. That is analysis of a broken protocol called WLCCP. That will be one half of the talk. The other half will be more, say, modern stuff, as WLCCP is a bit outdated. And so we changed the title to some notes on Cisco Enterprise WLAN solutions, which much more reflects what is in the talk. That's a pity for those who are not here, given the, say, not appealing title of the initial talk. But I mean, filing the submission that happened 3 months ago, and at the time we had a vague idea. There is something around, but we had not yet had the time to figure it out, which has changed significantly in the meantime. So who are we? All three of us work for a German security consultancy called ERNW that I founded back in 2001. And we have a blog, we have a conference called Troopers, so we are quite active, say, in not only researching security and performing, say, assessments at customer sites, but as well in the public or publishing, transport knowledge space of security. The agenda is a pretty simple one. There's some introduction. After that, we have to give you an overview of the technologies we are covering and potential attack paths. Then there are several generations of the Cisco Enterprise WLAN stuff, and those generations usually are given marketing acronyms. And those are, you can see here, Swan, or that very easily pronounceable CUWN. And obviously there are some conclusions in the end. The background is the NW in a company name stands for networking. So most of us, or the company as a whole, has some history in networking. So we, from time to time, it's not our main work. Our main work is performing assessments and providing, say, consulting services, but mainly performing assessments. But besides this, from time to time, we do traditional implementation work of network gear, and we touch Cisco stuff occasionally there, and we sometimes had the feeling, oh, there is, that doesn't look good security-wise. There is something hidden. We had the impression, well, this looks strange, this box behaves strange, so we should have taken a closer look one day, and as there was practically no, say, independent security assessment of the stuff available, we simply decided build a lab and spend some cycles on looking at the stuff, and the current talk is, say, the outcome of some of those cycles. Additionally, it turned out that one of our very large customers was interested in getting an independent assessment, so thankfully some part of this was paid, which is obviously the ideal solution, or the ideal way of performing stuff like this, getting money for it, at least as long as you still have the intellectual property, which is not the case, say, if you are government-sponsored. Okay, back to the talk itself. What we want to do here is obviously entertain you, provide some insight into the solutions and their security aspects, and to some degree have a discussion on what can go wrong when using or designing protocols, and which are things that should have been learned in the last 10 or 20 years, but still aren't, say, available in every protocol designer's head. The landscape we look at roughly looks like this. Usually there is, obviously, I mean, we're talking about wireless, so there is access points. Not sure if you can see this, but you should be able to identify the access points. There's mobile nodes, so stations or whatever kind of wireless equipment comes around, it takes part. There is boxes providing authentication services, and the whole stuff is somehow administered by means of web interfaces or command line interfaces. This stuff, to a high degree, is proprietary stuff. There is lots of, say, protocols, elements in it that are not that standardized, that are not available as RFCs. As for the security research, this means, obviously, it makes it maybe a bit more tedious to figure out things, but that can be the fun part as well. Say, looking at the packet and trying to understand the format of the packet. But the other thing is there's legal boundaries. It's not like you can easily say dissect code or something. Yeah, there might be a EULA prohibiting this, and we obviously, of course, we follow that kind of stuff. Okay, there's three major, what we call flavors or generations of these enterprise WLAN solutions in the Cisco space. The first generation is the one that was called Structured Wireless Aware Networks, in short Swan. Then back in 2005, Cisco announced the acquisition of Airspace. So they entered the space with managed APs, and the main protocol at that time was LWAPP. I mean, that's 5 years ago, but still remnants from that Airspace acquisition can be found, so kind of that heritage, and this heritage might be inducing interesting things, so to say. And the newest generation, since many years, they call all this, in marketing speech, they call it Cisco Unified Wireless Network. And recently, they switched over to a protocol that is standardized in an RFC, or in several RFCs actually, but Cisco mainly authored some of them. So the acronym is CUWN. And we are going to cover the first and the last generation. Talking about attack paths, there's lots of potential attacks and stuff. We classify them into three main categories. Obviously, that's attacks against traffic in transit. Like, this is what you think of when talking about wireless security. Get packets, try to get them from the air, try to understand, dissect, decrypt, whatever, so eavesdrop on their content. Then there might be attacks against cryptographic material. Obviously, they can be related to the attacks against traffic in transit, but they might be used for other purposes as well, like injection of rogue devices, which have to identify or authenticate in the overall picture, and this might be based on cryptographic procedures. Getting out the crypto stuff, or the keys, the key material, might serve from different purposes than just, say, eavesdropping on traffic. And third, that is what we call attacks against components, which might be physical removal or replacement, and attacks against management interfaces. Some of those boxes, if you recall the, say, picture with the overall diagram, some of those have web interfaces. SNMP might play a role, and there might be attacks against these kinds of mechanisms. Roughly speaking, this is the first generation called Swan, and what we have there is so-called WDS domains. There is in those domains there are access points. All those devices are connected somehow in the back by wired interfaces. There is authentication services, which in the Cisco world are provided by ACS. And in the bottom part, in the upper part of the diagram, you can see something called WLSE. That is a proprietary device. In fact, it is, this one is in WLSE.